For your Activity 2 task instructions, you're pretty much going to be doing the same procedures that we did in the practice data set, but just with a different set of data. Similar to last week, you're going to fill in an answer sheet and then submit the completed task data sheet, so you don't need to turn in any of the practice materials. This week, because we're also working in SPSS, you'll be turning in an output. I've made a video kind of explaining the steps in saving and exporting your SPSS outputs. Please note the file formats for each of these items that you're submitting. The output should be in an Excel spreadsheet. Some people will export to PDFs, but when the tables in the outputs are large, the PDF ends up splitting up tables, and then it can be anywhere from 40 to 50 pages long. So please make sure you export to an Excel format. As for the data that you've been given this week, these are data that were collected on previous sections of KIN 483. I've given you a legend so that you know what the data labels mean for our sex variables and our physical activity status. People reported if they were active or non-active based on ACSM and CDC guidelines. Age is listed in years, weight in kilograms, height in centimeters, and then people counted how many knee push-ups they could do to fatigue, and then how many feet push-ups they could do to fatigue. When they collected these, the order of knee and feet push-ups was randomized. For task 1, you're going to be completing some calculations in Excel. So for the first set of calculations, you're going to do the mean, median, mode. So those are our 3 measures of central tendency. And then our 5 measures of variability. For all subjects, for the variables age, weight, height, number of knee push-ups, and number of feet push-ups. I've given you a table template, so all you have to do is insert your calculations, rounding all of your answers to 1 decimal place. I then have 2 follow-up questions based on the values you provided in the table. Task 2 will be based on SPSS calculations. So I have asked you to do or use a split command or split file command in SPSS to divide your sample based on sex, so males versus females. And then you'll calculate the z-score for skewness and the z-score for kurtosis for all of the variables as well. So I've also given you a table for males, a table for females. You'll record your z-skew and z-curt values in those tables, rounding all of your answers to 2 decimal places. There are 2 follow-up questions based on the table values that you report. For task 3, we're looking at tests for normality. So you'll split your sample data based on physical activity status, so dividing people into active and non-active groups, and then run a Shapiro-Wilk test for your age, weight, height, knee, and feet push-ups variables. You'll report all of your p-values that you get for that Shapiro-Wilk test, rounding your answers to 3 decimal places. As a follow-up question, based on these p-values, you're going to determine if you have normally distributed data or not. And then you'll check the box next to each variable. These are active, age, weight, height, knee, and feet, non-active variables there. If you think that a variable is normal, to check this box, you just double click on it and then change the default value to checked. Okay, so that goes for any of those checkboxes in this table. For task number 4, you're going to create 2 charts. For the first chart, you're going to create a histogram that represents the weight data for all subjects, in Excel specifically, and you'll set the bin width to 5 kilograms. Don't forget to add your regular chart elements such as your axes and chart titles, and then any relevant units of measurement that might go with your variables that you're plotting. The second graph you're making is using SPSS, and you're going to create a clustered box plot that represents the comparison between active and non-active individuals. So these will be your clusters that are noted in your legend. The variable of interest that'll be on your y-axis are your feet push-ups. And we want to look at the comparisons between these active and non-active individuals within your sex variable. So along the x-axis, you'll have males versus females. When you're done making both of these graphs in Excel and SPSS, you'll just copy and paste them into their respective question areas. I put the grading criteria for graphs down here. Both of the charts are 3 points, so primarily we're looking for that you have the correct graph format, the correct data, chart titles and labels, and then a legend specifically for the clustered box plot. Any other specific grading criteria will be posted on Beachboard, so you can look at that as you go through your activity to make sure you have all of the necessary components in your answers. I've included a breakdown of the points for each task, as well as the data spreadsheet and the task output that you should be submitting to Beachboard by the posted due date.